Hello. You hear that bird doing its bird song outside? What a lovely rainy day we're having here. So, yesterday's video was about toxicity, or how toxic the LOA community, quote unquote LOA community, and specifically the Neville community seem to be, and how that negative, toxic atmosphere bleeds over, leaks over into all forms of social media when it comes to discussing this stuff, including on this platform, YouTube. But, another way to describe this toxicity in this community, which is bullshit. There's no fucking LOA community, okay? Let's just drop that. It's stupid. There's no LOA community. Come on. Another way to describe it is just stupidity and foolishness, and again, a lack of common sense understanding of how to deal with people and how to deal with yourself, really, And, there are probably, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are probably smaller groups, and you could say communities of like-minded people practicing these principles online, and in person, and that's cool. There's probably people practicing it in a harmonious way. But the general big picture of when you're talking about LOA stuff, or when you're talking about Neville stuff on places like Reddit or YouTube, is watch your ass, because people treat each other terribly. They're wicked mean. They don't give others the benefit of the doubt. They knock down instead of lift up. It's just a drag, man. It's a drag, man. You don't want to be involved with that, generally speaking. And that's a segue for today's Joseph Murphy pointers. We're still on harmonious human relations. We're on this chapter. I just feel like we got to bang out the rest of these. How many videos have I made on this? The pointers of this chapter, 19 at this point. There's 16 pointers. There's 18 pointers. Okay, no wonder I've made so many videos on this. Let's do 11 through 18 today. Let's finish this up. We've related a lot of these pointers to SP stuff. I'm going to stop doing that. At least today, I'm not going to talk about SP related stuff. It feels too ridiculous. This is common sense law of attraction, right? That we're going to discuss today. Joseph Murphy, Power Your Subconscious Mind, common sense, how to treat yourself, how to treat others, right? And in my opinion, we don't hear enough of this common sense advice when we go on places like here. So that's what this channel tries to provide, and what I try to provide through my podcast, my books, and my coaching. Point 11. Change your concept and estimate of your employer. Feel and know he is practicing the golden rule and the law of love, and he will respond accordingly. Now, that might be hard to believe, if you're in an employment situation. It's very difficult. But at the same time, I think it's almost undeniable that whatever your work situation is, or whatever your relationship situation is, if you give love to the other, or if you feel love for yourself and you radiate that out towards the other, stuff will change. So it's not necessarily, based on my experiences and what I've seen, you give love to others that are difficult to work with, and then they start loving you. But often they fade from your world. I've seen this to an unbelievable degree in my life over the years. When I became more open to just kind of like realizing that my own behavior and reactions towards people directly affected, not only how I viewed them, but how they viewed me, really. What I saw happening is that a lot of people who, frankly, were difficult for me to be around just faded from my life very quickly. One of the real positive effects I've seen from practicing the law of attraction in my own life is that I started practicing these principles, and within a few years, a lot of the social stuff, social interactions with people, whether it be work-wise or just socially or whatever, a lot of those bad social interactions just dropped away. And it was subtle, but like a few years after I started getting into these principles, I was like, holy cow, like it's amazing how many solid interactions I have now, and how few shitty interactions I seem to have, and how negative people, toxic people, don't seem to really stay in my life. So Murphy's touching on all that with that point and these general pointers in this chapter. Point 12. The other person cannot annoy you or irritate you except you permit him. Your thought is creative. You can bless him. If someone calls you a skunk, you have the freedom to say to the other, God's peace fill your soul. If somebody calls you a skunk, I mean, first of all, that's pretty awesome if someone calls you a skunk. But listen, if somebody calls you names, you do have the freedom. You do have the choice, the volition to say, God bless you. You can turn the other cheek, as uncomfortable and painful as it might feel. You can do that. And if you do that with more consistency when people attack you, or where you feel subtly like you are having to defend yourself, if you don't mentally react as strongly towards them, towards these situations, and turn the other cheek, go within, not only are you going to feel better, but your relations with other people are going to change for the better. These negative criticisms that you might receive, people are going to stop negatively criticizing you as much when they realize that you're not affected in the way that you were before. You don't feed into their negativity. Negativity needs to be fed into usually for it to really perpetuate and grow. And if you don't really allow that to happen, if you neutralize it to a large degree, your life improves. Again, sounds like common sense, but it's like deep common sense. Joseph Murphy. If someone calls you a skunk, I mean, my gosh, congratulations. That's great. Point 13, love is the answer to getting along with others. Love is understanding, goodwill, and respecting the divinity of the other. Yeah. It is amazing how slowly I'm going through these pointers. I've got 5 left. Unbelievable. We're gonna bash through the rest of these unless I have something really profound to share. Point 14. You would not hate a hunchback or cripple. You would have compassion. Have compassion and understanding for mental hunchbacks who have been conditioned negatively. To understand all is to forgive all. Have compassion and understanding for mental hunchbacks. Okay. Mental hunchbacks are, like we were talking about yesterday, you're going to, if you're on LOA social media, which is what YouTube is, you're going to encounter some mental hunchbacks. So, try to have some compassion for them. Or just, turn the other cheek, or just basically be indifferent towards them. Ignore them. Point 15. Rejoice in the success, promotion, and good fortune of the other. In doing so, you attract good fortune to yourself. Seems like common sense, but we often have trouble practicing this. I will say that, some people like competition and being competitive and being the best. And there's a place for that, obviously. But generally speaking, I would say with these principles, this is not about competition. You can't compete with God, nor do you need to, Point 16, never yield to emotional scenes and tantrums of others. Appeasement never wins. Do not be a doormat. Adhere to that which is right. Stick to your ideal, knowing that the mental outlook which gives you peace, happiness, and joy is right, good, and true. What blesses you blesses all. This is an important point. I guess I'm going to have to spend a minute on this. I also noticed, this is my favorite version of Power Your Subconscious Mind, but they made an editing error. They went from point 16 to point 18. There's no point 17 here. Very interesting. But this is point 16. This is very important. So even though you're turning the other cheek, you know on the inside what's right. Okay? You're not being a doormat. Adhere to what is right. And you can do this inwardly. Stick to your ideal inwardly. Knowing that this mental outlook that you have gives you peace, gives you happiness, it gives you joy. It's the right outlook to have. And if you have it, you're exuding it to others. You're giving it to others. This is so beautiful. Joseph Murphy. These helpful pointers. This is so beautiful. What blesses you blesses all. Fantastic. All right, we're going from point 16 to point 18. Listen, this is the best edition of this book that I know of. Man, they made this is me being a self-published author and self-publisher. They went from 16 to 18. There's no 17. Point 18, I guess it really might be point 17. All you owe any person in the world is love. And love is wishing for everyone what you wish for yourself. Health, happiness, and all the blessings of life. Beautiful conclusion to a beautiful chapter. And I wish you blessings the rest of your day.